have 4 old archived messages. Main menu. To review your messages, press 1. First archived message.
Hi, I was wanting to know whatever happened to the 4 students that had taken baseball bats down to the Battery and had broken out the windows of all the cars along the Battery because of the preaching at the college about the ruthless capitalist, or the fact that a year ago on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, one of the biggest shopping days of the year, the College of Charleston students had taken the super glue and had locked all the doors for the shops of the downtown section on the busiest days of the year, and some of the owners had to go ahead and knock out their front windows, which would be a loss to them, but not as great a loss as the creating of new doors and for their businesses. And then the fact that now on some of the churches around there that there is a lot of graffiti on the walls of the church walls. By the one by Grace Episcopal Church, somebody wrote, "Who gives you the right to judge?" Well, the idea is not that we people have the right to judge, but that God does. And God would judge that vandalism on other people's property probably is not a good idea.
End of message. Message returned to archives. Next message.
Then Cleve Jones came to the campus, which the students paid for, which is kind of ironic because that was student fees. And some of the people are not gay, and they don't believe that gays have a place in the community as a whole, in the civil society, because all civilization that marks their demise, it's because of gays and homosexuality behavior. If you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, if you look at Rome, if you look at any civilization that has been through decadence or has self-destructed, it's because of big gays and promiscuity and decadence along those lines of immorality. So my question is, then he came to campus and everybody had to pay for that. That's interesting enough. And then all of a sudden there's a gay parade that they want to enact, no less in North Charleston, because the acceptance of a counterculture because of their last arts festival over the holidays was marked by a defiance against Americanism or traditional Americanism. It's kind of a counterculture, which is kind of like anarchy. Is it not against American people in general because of the fact that they want to take over something that doesn't belong to them, that they want to justify to taking of something that isn't theirs? Is that not wrong?
End of message. Message returned to archives. Next message.
And if there's a conspiracy to incite violence or belligerence or rebellion or revolt, then isn't that worthy of a news article that talks about why it is that there is such a thing and why it is happening at the College of Charleston's campus so readily, and why it is that it marks kind of like what was in the Chicago Tribune, I believe it was April the 21st of 1934, when there was a cartoon that said, let's give away everything that America has worked so hard for and that whose people have worked, and let's give it all away so that we can harm them, so that we can punish them, so that we can do them harm. Isn't that kind of what this is? Isn't that where on that cartoon it says, let's get some communist pinky from Harvard or some other large school, Ivy League school, to give it all away. Well, my godmother called me on Valentine's Day and said that she no longer, even though she worked and her husband worked their whole lives for GM, they no longer have any stock. It was taken away from them. They no longer have any retirement. It was taken away from them. And even though that they worked their entire lives, they don't have any health care benefits. It was taken away from them by the president.
End of message. To erase this message, message returned to archives. Next message.
As staff on campus, I can see that there's a belligerence, a defiance, anti-everything that's American, kind of rebelliousness among the students. And I can't understand why, because I'm older. I lived through the 60s and 70s when I saw the same thing, where our white church was bombed with a Molotov cocktail from the African-American part of East St. Louis. And totally destroyed. Where when we moved to New Jersey, I went to the School of the Arts in Philadelphia, and when I would come out, there would be gangs with machetes carrying knives down the streets, threatening people that would walk the streets. So we had to have close guards. And then in addition to that, then in Pennsauken, New Jersey, a little girl was of mine in my neighborhood, because I was at one time free to be able to ride my bicycle and go to the neighborhood park, but not after the incident where one of my neighbor girls was sliced and diced up on a teeter-totter in the park. That was a defiance of the 70s. It was an uprising of black empowerment. It was of black power, of Black Planet, and Black Panthers. And they not only intimidated people at the polls like they did this last election in Philadelphia, but in other ways.
End of message. To erase this message return to archives. End of messages. Main menu.